All Vaishnava devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios in the Haven, which is located in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel. We're on the eve of a very mixed event. Tomorrow morning, our dear Abai Das Brahmachari is going to leave the Haven, and on the way he's going to visit his family because he hasn't seen them in more than 2 years, and then he's going to go to Houston and replace Gaur Hari, who I serendipitously got to come here. So he just cooked us a going away feast, which was one of the best I've tasted in a long time, and we owe him so much. He's taken care of me through such crises as, major surgeries and so many other things. So thank you, Abai. Hare Krishna, from the core of my heart. And thanks to Gaur Hari for agreeing to come and take this service on. Okay, enough nostalgia. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami. So succinctly, eloquently glorifies the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It goes like this. Sarva Shastabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho Kali Dvandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin ati nichochata kada hanamunchakadachin mam premna ritkata yokspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we reached the 30th chapter of the fourth canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we're going to hear the activities of the Pracetās, who were the sons of Pracetās, who were doing austerities in this big lake while King Pracetās was hearing from Narada Muni and becoming liberated by the grace of Narada Muni. We're starting with text 6. Lord Vishnu has just appeared to the Pracetās. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnaraloka. Purport. Generally, the Vishnu form is manifested with 4 hands holding 4 objects, a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. However, here, Lord Vishnu is described as possessing 8 arms with 8 kinds of weapons. According to Viraragava Acharya, the conch shell and lotus flower are also accepted as weapons. Since the Lord is the supreme controller, whatever is in his hand can be considered a weapon. 4 hands hold 4 kinds of weapons, and the extra 4 hands hold an arrow, bow, trident, and snake. Shri Viraragava Acharya describes the 8 weapons as Shankha, Chakra, Gadha, Padma, Shanga, Shara, and so on. A king is always accompanied by his ministers, secretaries, and commanders. And Lord Vishnu is also accompanied by his followers, the demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and so on. He is never alone. Consequently, there is no question of the Lord's being impersonal. He is always himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his associates are also persons. From the description given in this verse, Garuda appears to belong to the Kinnara planet. The inhabitants of the Kinnara planet have the same features as Garuda. Their bodily features are like those of a human being, but they have wings. The word Gita Kirti indicates that the inhabitants of Kinnaraloka are very expert in singing the glories of the Lord. In Brahma Samhita it is said, Jagadanda Koti Koti Shesha Jagad Anda Koti Koti Sheshesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Vinam. Each and every universe, there are different types of planets, and each planet has distinctive features. On the strength of this verse, we can understand that in the Kinnaraloka, the inhabitants can fly with their wings. There is also a planet known as Siddhaloka, when the inhabitants can fly even without wings. Thus, each and every planet has some distinctive facility. This is the beauty of the varied creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 7. Around the neck of the Personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Pracetās, who were very much surrendered unto him. Purport. The word Adyat in this verse is very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin even of Paramatma and Brahman, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. The Absolute Truth begins not with the impersonal Brahman, but with the original Personality of Godhead, Krishna. When Arjuna realized Krishna's greatness, he addressed him in this way: Padam Brahma Padam Dhamma Pavitrang Padamang Bhavan Purushan Shasvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajang Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the Absolute Truth, and the eternal, divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. The Brahma Samhita also says, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. The Supreme Lord is not caused by anything, Anadi, but he is the cause of all causes. The Vedanta Sutra says, Janmad Yasya Yataha. The Absolute Truth is that from which everything emanates. The Absolute Truth is described as Adi Purusha. The Absolute Truth
Here's what I found.
Is therefore a person and is not impersonal. Text 8. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. Purport. Since the sons of King Pracetās were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Pracetās was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently, they cannot be united. Disunity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to the best of one's ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited appreciated in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Pracetās. Could we close this door? Thank you. Text 9. The Lord continued, those who remember you every evening of every day and will become friendly with their brothers and with all other living entities. Text 10. Those who will offer me the prayers composed by Lord Shiva, both in the morning and the evening, will be given benedictions by me. In this way, they can both fulfill their desires and attain good intelligence. Purport. Good intelligence means going back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satate yuktanang bhajatang priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogang tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. One who offers prayers to the Lord to fulfill his different desires must know that the highest perfectional fulfillment of desire is to go back home, back to Godhead. In this verse it is indicated that those who remember the activities of the Pracetās, the sons of King Pracetās, will be delivered and blessed. So what to speak of the kings of King Pracetās, who were directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? This is the way of the Parampara system. If we follow the Acharyas, we attain the same benefit as our predecessors. If one follows the decisions of Arjuna, he should be considered to be directly hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between hearing Bhagavad Gita directly from the Supreme Lord and following a personality like Arjuna, who formerly heard Bhagavad Gita directly from the Lord. Sometimes foolish people argue that since Krishna is not present at the moment, one cannot take direct instructions from him. Such foolish people do not know that there is no difference between directly hearing Bhagavad Gita and reading it, as long as one accepts Bhagavad Gita as it is, spoken by the Lord. However, if one wants to understand Bhagavad Gita by his imperfect interpretations, one cannot possibly understand the mysteries of Bhagavad Gita, even though one may be a great scholar according to mundane estimation. Text 11. Because you have with pleasure accepted within your hearts the orders of your Father and have executed those orders very faithfully, your attractive qualities will be celebrated all over the world. Purport. Since every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has small independence. Sometimes unintelligent men ask why one is put into a miserable condition, even though everyone is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of his minute independence, the living entity can obey or disobey the orders of the Supreme Lord. If he obeys the Supreme Lord's orders, he becomes happy. If he does not, he becomes unhappy. Therefore, the living entity creates his own happiness or unhappiness. The Supreme Lord does not enforce these on anyone. The Supreme Lord praised the Pracetās because they all faithfully obeyed the orders of their father. The Lord therefore blessed the sons of King Pracetās because they obeyed their father's orders. Text 12. You will have a nice son who will be in no way inferior to Lord Brahma. Consequently, he will be very famous all over the universe, and the sons and grandsons generated by him will fill the three worlds. Purport. As explained in the next verse, the Pracetās will marry the daughter of the great sage Canto. It is suggested that the son's name will be Vishruta, and that he will glorify both his father and mother because of his good character. In fact, he would be greater than Lord Brahma. The great politician Chanakya said that if there is a good tree within a garden or forest, its flowers will fill the forest with their fragrance. Similarly, a good son within a family makes the whole family famous all over the world. Krishna took birth in the family of the Yadus, and consequently the Yadu dynasty is famous all over the world. Text 13. O sons of King Pracetās, the heavenly society girl named Pramlocha kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Canto in the care of the forest trees. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara named Pramlocha with the sage Canto. Purport. Whenever a great sage undergoes severe austerities for material power, the king of heaven, Indra, becomes very envious. All the demigods have responsible posts for the management of universal affairs and are very highly qualified with pious activities. Although they are ordinary living entities, they are able to attain responsible posts like Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna. As is the nature of this material world, the king of heaven, Indra, is very anxious if a great sage undergoes severe austerities. The whole material world is filled with such envy that everyone becomes afraid of his neighbors. Every businessman is afraid of his associates, because this material world is the field of activities for all kinds of envious people who have come here to compete with the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus Indra was very much afraid of the severe austerities performed by the great sage Canto, and he sent Pramlocha to break his vows and austerities. A similar incident took place in the case of Vishwamrita. From other incidents in the Shastras, it appears that Indra has always been envious. When King Prithu was celebrating various sacrifices, outdoing Indra, Indra became very, very envious, and he disturbed King Prithu's sacrifice. This has already been discussed in previous chapters. King Indra became successful in breaking the vow of the great sage Canto, who became attracted by the beauty of the heavenly society girl Pramlocha and begot a female child. This child is described herein as lotus-eyed and very beautiful. Being thus successful in her mission, Pramlocha returned to the heavenly planets, leaving the newborn child to the care of the trees. Fortunately, the trees accepted the child and agreed to raise her. Text 14. Thereafter the child, who was left to the care of the trees, began to cry in hunger. At that time the king of the forest, namely the king of the moon planet, out of compassion placed his finger, which poured forth nectar, within the child's mouth. Thus the child was raised by the mercy of the king of the moon. Purport. Although the Apsara left her child to the care of the trees could not take care of the child properly. Therefore, the trees handed the child over to the king of the moon. Thus Chandra, king of the moon, put his finger within the mouth of the child to satisfy her hunger. Text 15. Since all of you are very much obedient to my orders, I ask you to immediately marry that girl who is so well qualified with beauty and good qualities. According to the order of your father, create progeny through her. Purport. The Pracetās not only were great devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but were very obedient to the orders of their father. Therefore the Lord asked them to marry the daughter of Pramlocha. Text 16. You brothers are all of the same nature, being devotees and obedient sons of your father. Similarly, the girl is also of the same type and is dedicated to all of you. Thus, both the girl and you, the sons of Pracetās, are on the same platform, being united on a common principle. Purport. According to Vedic principles, a woman cannot have many husbands, although a husband can have many wives. In special instances, however, it is found that a woman has more than one husband. Draupadi, for instance, was married to all of the 5 Pandava brothers. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead ordered all the sons of Pracetās to marry the one girl born of the great sage Canto and Pramlocha. In special cases, a girl is allowed to marry more than one man, provided she is able to treat her husbands equally. This is not possible for an ordinary woman. Only one who is especially qualified can be allowed to marry more than one husband. In this age of Kali, to find such an equipoised woman is very difficult. Thus, according to scripture, Kalau pancha vivarjayat. In this age, a woman is forbidden to marry her husband's brother. This system is still practiced in some of the hilly tracts of India. The Lord says, Apritag dharma shilayam bhuyat patnyar pitashaya. With the blessings of the Lord, all things are possible. The Lord especially blessed the girl to surrender equally to all brothers. Apritag dharma, meaning occupational duty without difference of purpose, is taught in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 primary divisions: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The word yoga means acting on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Yagyartat kamanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartang karma konteya muktasanga samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. One may act according to his own occupational duty, just to satisfy the Yajna Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is called apritag dharma. Different limbs of the body may act in different ways, but the ultimate objective is to maintain the entire body. Similarly, if we work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will find that we satisfy everything. We should follow in the footsteps of the Pracetās, whose only aim was to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This is called apritag dharma. According to Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This is the advice of Lord Krishna. Our only aim should be to act in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Lord. This is oneness, or apritag dharma. Text 17. The Lord then blessed the Pracetās, saying, My dear princes, by my mercy you can enjoy all the facilities of this world, as well as the heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1,000,000 celestial years. Purport. The duration of life prescribed for the Pracetās by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is calculated by the time measurements of higher planetary systems. Our 6 Earth months are said to equal 12 hours on the higher planetary systems. 30 days equal 1 month, and 12 months equal 1 year. In this way, for 1,000,000 years, according to the calculations of the higher planetary system, the Pracetās were allowed to enjoy all kinds of material facilities. Although this lifespan was so long, the Pracetās were given full bodily strength by the grace of the Lord. In the material world, if one wants to live for many years, he must endure the difficulties of old age, invalidity, and many other miserable conditions. Hare Krishna. The Pracetās, however, were given full bodily strength to enjoy material facilities. This special facility was given to the Pracetās so that they could continue rendering full devotional service. This will be explained in the following verse. Text 18. Thereafter, you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me, and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment, in the so-called heavenly planets, as well as in hellish planets, you will return home, back to Godhead. Purport. By the grace of the Lord, the Pracetās were given special facilities. Although they could live millions of years to enjoy material facilities, they still would not be deviated from the transcendental, loving service of the Lord. Being thus fully engaged, the Pracetās would be completely freed from all material attachment. Material attachment is very strong. During one lifetime, a materialist engages in acquiring land, money, friends, society, friendship, love, and so on. He also wants to enjoy the heavenly planets after the annihilation of the body. If one is engaged in devotional service, however, he becomes unattached to all kinds of material enjoyment and suffering. In the material world, those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems are supposed to enjoy all material facilities, whereas those degraded to lower planetary systems are supposed to live in a hellish condition. A devotee, however, is transcendental to both heavenly and hellish conditions. According to Bhagavad Gita 14:26, a devotee's position is described in this way. Mam cha yo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatijaitan brahma bhujaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. A devotee is always situated on the Brahman platform. He has nothing to do with material happiness or distress. When one is strongly fixed in devotional service and free from all material attachment, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature, he becomes fit to return home, back to Godhead. Although by special blessing, the Pracetās would enjoy material facilities for millions of years, they would not be attached to them. Thus, at the end of their material enjoyment, they would be promoted to the spiritual world and return to Godhead. The word pakva gunashayaha has special significance, for it means that by devotional service, one is able to give up the influence of the three modes of material nature. As long as one is influenced by the modes of material nature, he cannot return to Godhead. It is clearly explained that all planets in the material world, beginning from Brahmaloka down to the hellish planets, are unfit places for a devotee. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. Bhāgavatam 10:14, 58. A place where there is danger at every step is certainly not a comfortable place. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita 8:16, Brahma, Bhuvanaloka Punar Arvatanorjana Mamupetya Tukonteya Punar Janma Navidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. There is no profit, even if one is promoted to the highest planet in the material universe, Brahmaloka. However, if one is somehow or other promoted to the abode of the Lord, he never returns to the material world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So it's now 7:49, it's almost 7:50. We will stop our reading tonight and start up tomorrow night at text 19. And in the meantime, we will patiently wait for the reflections of the assembled sages.
First we have a comment from Katrien Gomez.
Catherine Gomez. Hare Krishna. Who is that? Shantarupa.
Shantarupa.
Hare Krishna Shantarupa.
In response to Abai leaving, say we will miss him.
Yes, we all will. Even our plumbers came to say goodbye to Abai.
Rati Manjari, she says, Jai Guru, Jai Guru Maharaj, on and on.
On and on. Yes, the show must go on.
This is Gopakanya Devidasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all assembled devotees. My humble obeisances to all of you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Your daily reading service, dear Maharaj. Jai Ho.
Jai Ho. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your encouraging words. We all need encouraging words, and we need encouragement. Everyone. Mm-hmm.
This is from Kurt Mayer.
Kurt Mayer. Hare Krishna.
It says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I just happened to catch you live today. Lunchtime here in Texas. Thank you again for your daily readings and for your engaging so many devotees. I am about a year behind in the Bhagavatam readings, but they have become an essential component of my mornings.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. That is my goal in life, that to try to make everyone happy based on Srila Prabhupada's desire. So I'm so happy to hear this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is from Dayalini Tai and Radhananda.
Jai Dayalini Tai and Radhananda Ji.
Dear Srila Guru Maharaj, please accept our obeisances. All glories to your holiness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for tonight's reading. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you also for updating us on our dear Abai Prabhu's situation. We wish to heartfully thank him for all the wonderful devotional service he has rendered over the years and your personal assistance, as well as to the greater family worldwide.
Yes.
He has forever endeared himself to all of us.
Yes.
We know him to be a most kind Vaishnava devotee. Thank you, your servants, Radhananda Devidas.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Yes, we will miss him terribly.
Noel Craver says Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti Noel.
And Anandamurti Devidasi.
Yes, Anandamurti.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj and all assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for today's readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Today I heard the importance of cooperation and become united under the name of Krishna. Quote, our only aim should be to act in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Lord. This is oneness, or apritag dharma. End quote. I thought I will act accordingly. Yesterday, 2 Bhagavad Gitas distributed after duty. Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat, and thanks a lot for your example. It is extremely pleasing and exalted. Hare Krishna. What verse did we leave off with?
19.
Huh?
19.
19 is the next one.
Next one.
Okay, thank you.
Sudevi Dasi, she says, Haribol Maharaj.
Haribol Sudevi Dasi, Haribol, Hare Krishna.
And this is from Nikki Drans.
Yes, Nikki.
Hare Krishna Maharaj and all assembled devotees. Thank you for another dose of sanity. She says, in my humble obeisances to Abai.
Jai Abai.
Another from Shantarupa Devidasi.
Yes, Shantarupa.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Before I thought dangers at every step to only be material, but the biggest danger is to forget about Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you so much for keeping me connected. Your servant Shantarupa Devi Das.
Sai Shantarupa Devi Das. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We have some from Rati. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances.
Yes, Rati.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Tonight you read one of my favorite verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 438. I cite, "The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, 'My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you.
Yes.
All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me.'"
Yes, I mean, I must admit it's one of my favorites also. Prabhupada said, the test of our love for him will be how well we cooperate to keep his institution together. Hare Krishna.
She says, "I like this one especially because the Lord reveals here that he is interested in our friendships, which I find endearing."
Yes. And especially at this time in the world, it's so devoid of friendship in general sense. So many people are quarreling with one another, even family members, and, even communities, nations. Yes. Everyone competing to be the greatest something or other. So this cooperative spirit, this friendship, working together in friendship, is very pleasing to Krishna, and therefore pleasing to our hearts. We had a trustees meeting today, London Temple, and it was a very nice meeting. And the devotees were very cooperative, and we can actually see how things go on nicely, in a nice direction when we actually are friendly with one another and cooperate together. Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
She continues and says, "I also find it meaningful that Srila Prabhupada takes this point home by his comments in the purport about how devotees should cooperate," which is what you were just speaking about.
Yes. Yes, that's the test of our love for Prabhupada. Without love, there can be no friendship and cooperation.
I had one on that point. I was reflecting in the purport. He was saying that if there is some sort of disagreement between devotees, it should be seen as the Lord's desire. Spiritual.
Should be considered spiritual. Exactly. And that way, it doesn't escalate. If you don't think like that, then it naturally escalates.
So what's happening in those situations then?
What's happening in what situation?
Where there is disagreement, seemingly, between devotees about services?
It depends on how they respond. You can't avoid differences of opinion. Every single soul is unique, individual. And so they cannot agree with everything, in everything. It's not possible, even in the spiritual world. I mean, they all puts Krishna in the center, so in one sense they're all in agreement. But sometimes they disagree on how to please Krishna. It's natural. But there, it just increases the love. It doesn't degrade into, envy and anger and all these mundane negative emotions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another from Rati.
Yes, Rati.
She says, "I cite, if there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees. How beautiful that the Lord is willing to cooperate and serve his devotees who work in unison by awarding benedictions.
So let me comment on that. When Lord Chaitanya came to Haridas Thakur, I've said this a few times over the last few weeks, but when Lord Chaitanya came to Haridas Thakur in anxiety, it's right there in the verse, the word anxiety, he said, Haridas, how will the conditioned souls be delivered? I'm in great anxiety. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes this statement: this is real service. This is actually service. When you act in such a way with the motive to reduce the anxiety that Lord Chaitanya feels, seeing the conditioned soul suffering in the material existence, then you become a confidential devotee of the Lord. This is the foundation, the basis of how we can actually cooperate together in order to reduce the suffering that the Lord feels. And one may say, well, the Lord is all-powerful and doesn't need anything, so how can he? Because he's a sentient being, and he has feelings, and for himself he has no need and nothing lacking. He's full in himself. But at the same time, because all living beings are part of him, so he wants to be with them. He wants to engage in pastimes with them. So therefore, and he knows how much they suffer in separation from him, whether they know it or not. Everyone in the material world is suffering. So this is the building block of real devotional service, to try to reduce the suffering of others, and particularly the anxiety that the Lord feels for seeing some of his souls, his children or his creatures, suffering in material existence. Hare Krishna.
And one more from Nikki.
Yes, Nikki.
In addition to her humble obeisances to Abai, she says, he has taught me so much just by his example, such a gentle, humble, and kind Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Thank you very much. And true as rain.
I don't know if you've already answered this, but Rati says, Dear Guru Maharaj, if I may ask a question about the point that disagreement amongst devotees is to be taken as spiritual.
Well, a devotee is a person who puts Krishna in the center. If a person is not putting Krishna in the center, then he's not yet a full devotee, a complete devotee. So there may be differences of opinion that cause disruption among devotees who are not putting Krishna in the center. That's what it means.
She added a comment also that I think you just answered. She says, I once witnessed a severe incident between some of my god brothers and sisters. I was taken aback by it.
Yes. This means Kanishta, or less qualified.
says it appeared that there were two parties.
Well, if you remember, Srila Prabhupada explained to us that when his spiritual master left this world, he gave instructions to his leading disciples to form a governing body to manage the Gaudiya Math. He was not in favor of, appointing one acharya for the whole place, because he knew they weren't qualified. And as soon as he left, they disobeyed that instruction, and the Gaudiya Math disintegrated within 3 or 4 days, and have been in legal disputes ever since. ISKCON, however, was established and structured by Srila Prabhupada exactly according to the orders of his spiritual master. So this is why Prabhupada says that there actually can only be one opinion, the opinion of the spiritual master. And if we extend that to the principle that Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of our movement and the Shiksha Guru of everyone in the movement, then you can begin to see how important it is to put Krishna's instructions, Srila Prabhupada's instructions, in the center. And if we do that, even if we do disagree, the disagreement will not cause disruption. And if it causes disruption, that means Srila Prabhupada's instructions are not in the center. So where Prabhupada's instructions are in the center, there is not disruption. Hare Krishna.
She added, she says it was so painful, and how should we deal with such a matter?
Stay away from it. Don't get involved. Unless you're powerful enough to realign them, then you should better avoid it.
We have one more comment from Gopakanya Devidasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devidasi.
My humble obeisances in Hare Krishna to Abhay Prabhuji. So,
thank you very much.
So pleasing and profound to hear from Maharaj's lotus mouth of your glorious services you rendered. Pleasing spiritual master is pleasing Krishna. Jai Ho Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
And Rati says, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
That's all.
And thank all of you for these wonderful reflections. They're just getting better and better. And you're bringing out very nice points from Prabhupada's purports and allowing us to all look at them together and become transcendently pleased. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same topic, as we hear more about the glories of the Pracetās. Hare Krishna.